the liberation of this country. India is one of the highest tariffing nations in the world. I think you're going to have a country that's going to boom.
I stood up for Australia when they put on aluminium and steel tariffs. I continue to stand up for Australia and have said very clearly that we won't compromise and negotiate on our PBS, on our biosecurity, on our media bargaining code. I'll stand up for Australia. Australia's exports to the United States represent about under 5% of our goods exports. Okay, so let's have some perspective here about standing up for Australia's national interest. I know there's a lot of focus on this, but put it in perspective. But what we're not prepared to do, for example, is to say, oh, well, what we will do is to flag and have a free-for-all on goods coming into Australia without proper biosecurity, because that could do enormous damage to our various meat products which are here.
I've been very clear that my job as Prime Minister would be to stand up for our national interest. And I don't care whether it's President Trump or any other world leader, my job is to stand up for Australians. And I have the strength and the experience to be able to do that. Thank you very much.
Nosotros no creemos en el ojo por ojo, diente por diente, porque eso siempre lleva a una mala situación. Por supuesto que se toman medidas, porque se toman medidas del otro lado, pero tiene que continuar el diálogo. No es un asunto de me pusiste, te pongo, sino de qué es lo mejor para México y cómo afrontar esta situación. No es que no queramos hablar, sino que no hemos podido cruzar agendas. Entiendo que ya esta semana ya podamos hablar por teléfono, no nos hemos comunicado, pero hay buena relación con Canadá y va a seguir habiendo buena relación con Canadá.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Terry. President Trump is in the process of trying to fundamentally restructure the U.S. economy, and that means that our economy here needs to change dramatically as well. And as I made clear to President Trump in our call last week, I will reject all attempts to weaken Canada, all attempts to wear us down, to break us down so that America can own us. As you know, I spoke with the President last week. We had a very constructive, very productive conversation. Part of that conversation included a commitment, two commitments. The first was that after the election, the Government of Canada and the Government of the United States President and the next Prime Minister, which I hope will be me, I'm working hard every day to be that person, but we will sit down, those individuals will sit down and begin comprehensive negotiations. That's the first thing. The second thing we agreed was that our principals, our ministers, would be in close contact during this period. And that is the case. Minister LeBlanc has been in contact with Secretary Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce Lutnick. That is a regular, ongoing conversation. As I also mentioned to the President, and was very clear, we will respond to additional measures. So we will put in place retaliatory measures if there are additional measures put against Canada tomorrow. Thank you. We are going to be very deliberate in terms of the measures we take to fight for Canada, fight against these unjustified measures by the U.S. administration, but also to protect, to have that minimal impact in Canada. We will not disadvantage Canadian producers and Canadian workers relative to American workers. So there are measures that we can take that at a minimum level the playing field with the United States, and again it depends on the broader measures they take tomorrow, if indeed they do against Canada. Thank you. Okay, merci beaucoup.
The European Union has a strong plan to retaliate against tariffs imposed and set to be imposed by Donald Trump. That's according to EU Executive Chief Ursula von der Leyen on Tuesday, although she said the bloc would prefer to negotiate a solution. The Trump administration put in place tariffs on imported steel and aluminum in March, and higher duties on cars will take effect on Thursday. Trump will also set out plans for reciprocal tariffs on Wednesday. EU Executive Chief Ursula von der Leyen.
Europe did not start this confrontation. We think it is wrong. But my message to you today is that we have everything we need to protect our people and our prosperity. We have the largest single market in the world. We have the strength to negotiate. We have the power to push back.
Von der Leyen also said she understood the US wanted to reindustrialise, as does the EU. However, she said US tariffs were taxes on its consumers. She argued that would fuel inflation and make American factories pay more for components, costing jobs. Von der Leyen added that the EU should diversify its trade and remove internal barriers to cross-border business in its single market.